Hi, I hope you're all doing good today. Thank you for taking time and watching this video. I'm still new to YouTube posting process, so I'm still thinking how is it better to be with the sound. Should I just let some music go together with the video, or should I take this opportunity and not only share the process and the illustration itself, but also some of my ideas and inspirations behind these drawings? For today, it will be me talking about this particular illustration and what it represents, what does it mean to me. Um, so here you see a woman, a mother, who has fallen asleep resting her head on her arm, and a couple of kids taking care of their mother. Her son is covering her with a blanket, and you can also see this little this little one, her daughter, who is standing behind her brother and holding this other blanket just in case they might need it. This illustration, this scene, has been on my mind since some time now, and I'm very happy I could finally realize it on paper. You know, I would like to speak as you watch this spit it up process video um, about what it says, the illustration itself, because of course when I'm drawing something, I'm trying to tell a story. Sometimes I'm trying to express my attitude towards something, my ideas and my thoughts. Sometimes I try to just, process whatever ideas, whatever thoughts I'm having at the moment. I try to process them through the illustrations. And I also know that each of us, when we look at something that someone created, we have our own ideas, right? When I look at the illustrations of other artists, I can only guess what they meant with it. I mean, sometimes it's obvious, but sometimes not so much. And we all have our own personal opinion and feeling about illustration or whatever we see based on our own experience, right? In life. Um, when I look at this picture, I think about kindness, where it comes from. How come some people are so caring and attentive and delicate with other people's feelings and needs, and how come others seem to, you know, lack compassion? I always try to understand and to see if this is something like you're being born with, and to what extent, right? Or is it something you learn from your parents, from your family, from your close friends and surroundings? I still don't know. I observe people, and sometimes it surprises me. Sometimes I think, oh, I think I get it, but it just the moment I think it, it just whoosh and disappears. And another person that I observe or watch closely, sometimes showing something which I'm like, oh, okay, it doesn't, look like the model I have already built in my mind, right? That's interesting. So, I think I seldom gave those thoughts such freedom to roam in my mind before I had my kid. And I felt all kinds of emotions that comes with it, including super overwhelming sense of responsibility. It's just I've always been so careless, and I've been very, light. I knew that I had responsibility, let's say, to my grandmother, to help her around and so on, but to my parents, some friends, but I never had someone for whom I would feel so much responsibility to bring them into this world, to make this world livable, enjoyable, better than it is for these creatures, for children. And also to somehow help them, children, to develop these good intentions that they all of them all of us are born with, but sometimes they're just, you know, disappearing on the way. I don't know why. It's a mystery to me. I would like to solve it one day. So, you know, I remember speaking about the kindness. I remember when my kid was just a toddler, we would play this game. Actually, he thought, and I think he still thinks that it's a game, but it wasn't a game. What I wanted to do is I wanted to more or less consciously plant some seeds into his soul and hope that one day they will, you know, bring good crops. And so this game was like that. Before falling asleep, and this is very quiet, very magic time, you know, before you falling asleep, very slow time. So most of your social masks, they just fall off, right? They disappear and you remain who you are, more or less, right? We had this thing. We would cuddle and I would, you know, stroke his hair and I would stroke his arms and legs and trying to get him to sleep. And I would start telling him, you are such a strong boy and you are such a handsome one. I see your legs are strong and I see your arms are strong. And you are a very good tree climber, because he is. And I would make a pause and then I would say it in the air, you know, not addressing directly to him, but I would say, the only thing I wonder if you are kind. And I remember his face was very happy, smiling, widely smiling, and he would whisper into my ear, already half falling asleep, I am kind. And I was like, I was hugging him and I was telling him that it does not matter how fast or strong or handsome you are, if you're not kind, then it all just won't work. Because when you think about it, everything has measure. You can be more or less strong, more or less fast, but you cannot be more or less kind because kindness is an absolute notion. Now that my son is 11, and when he achieves something, you know, a number of places, or sometimes I look at him, of course I'm proud of him, but I look at him and I think he gets the look because he's nodding. Even when he's not around and quite far from me, he can look back at me and he will nod. And you know, he will nod with a smile. And I was asking him about this nod and he was telling me, well, because I cannot, you know, run to you and tell you that I do remember about being kind. I still want you to know that I do. And this is, it's very touching, I would say. And I think it is very important to keep this close to your heart, to pay attention to this. Of course, you have to be, I mean, I'm also teaching my kid that sometimes people try to use this ability of your soul to be kind and to express and show kindness and help others. So you need to be also careful that your kindness would not, you know, go against you. But initially, I think he understands what I mean, at least to the extent that I myself understand what I mean, which might not be quite so yet. And recently, it's interesting, you know, for me, at least in my parental experience and journey. So he turned 11 and he's not toddler, not kid, small child anymore. Yet he's not teenager, he's not adult yet. But I can see that this feeling, this need to be one, this calling is very strong in him already, and he tried to. So I found myself in a very interesting situation, quite often quite perplexing, because I know how to be a mother of, to a 3-year-old. I know how to speak to a 6-year-old, and at least I think I know. I do have some experience with a 8-year-old, but 11, 12, 13, it's very abracadabra to me, and I know that as much as I'm a little bit overwhelmed and confused, I can imagine that he himself is quite overwhelmed and confused too. So I think that now, at this new stage, new rules and new patterns of behavior should be applied slowly, and I know I always tell myself that I should be very kind to myself, not to think, oh, I don't know anything, I'm ruining his life, and so on. Each parent has probably gone or going through it, or is going to. to. So I decided that this is, although quite frightening, is not bad new stage, and I can embrace it, and I can proceed through it with, mutual respect and kindness to each other and kindness to ourselves. I always tell my kid that he should be very kind to himself and to others. And that heart is, this vessel of, it's not exactly the organ heart, I mean heart like the core of the soul. It's the vessel for this, and kindness makes it shine. So I think that at this moment, my parental, I would say, hopes for myself would be less straightforward parenting, and on my side, and more discussing, more sharing ideas, more giving him opportunity to express himself, especially in the matters which sometimes I think he's not adult yet to speak about yet. On the other hand, why not? And I really hope that I will continue helping him, helping his soul develop this ability to blossom with, kindness to himself and to others. And I really hope that whatever children are experiencing during their kids, toddlers, and teenagers, and so on, stays with them very deeply. That's why childhood to me is super important. I mean, super important to protect, to maintain, to help develop. Not sometimes not to interfere. It's sometimes quite more difficult not to interfere. Well, I think that this illustration is going to be finished soon. I can see that soon I will start working with the pencils, and pencils usually a final stage, because with the help of the pencils I'm trying to develop, well, first of all, I'm trying to bring figures, main figures of the illustration, to bring them in front, because when you're drawing with the pencil, it gives a watercolor base this kind of shape. It gives it more, I would say, it makes it more rich probably. Yes, and here comes the pencil, and This is actually very handy aqua brush that I'm using quite often. I like regular brushes, as I'm writing there underneath my videos. I like regular brushes like number 1, 2, 6 if I need to cover bigger space, but these aqua brushes I like too because they have a synthetic base which is very, you know, it, it keeps the water, it gives as much as I need, it doesn't bring all the water on the painting, so I like it very much. And I do really hope that if you decide to leave a comment, if you have some questions about this illustration or about something that I've just shared with you, thoughts and ideas, you're welcome to ask me or give your feedback. Maybe you will tell me how is it better to not speak, just because this is something that really preoccupies me. Well, I myself really enjoy when I watch videos of artists and when I get a chance to hear them speaking, because artist is all about the image. So sometimes it's very nice for me to hear when the artist, especially one of my favorite, one, two, three, many of my favorite artists, they speak along with their illustrations, but I'm not very sure about my own self ability to entertain you with my conversation. But we'll see, hopefully. So I'm hoping that you enjoyed this drawing and that my talking did not distract you from it. At least you can always turn the sound off and just watch it. I hope that you are all going to have a very good day or evening, and will leave some feedback in the comments or not. And I hope to draw some simpler illustrations soon and share it here, maybe without me chit-chatting, just. So thank you for watching and have a good day.